Honored guests on the show today. Greg Lessard, who's the co-op director of development, the Concord Food Co-op. Ellen Groh, who's the executive director of the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness. And, of course, my good friend Tom Raffio, who's the president and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental, as we're going to talk about SouperFest today. This has been an effort over the last number of years to raise money and awareness for the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness, which is an integral part of our community in Concord and the Capital Region. Northeast Delta Dental playing a big role in supporting this effort. And Greg's going to talk a little bit about SouperFest this year and talk a little bit about the efforts to support the Concord Coalition and homelessness and the support that has been received from Northeast Delta Dental. Greg.
All right. Thank you, Chris. This is the 12th annual SouperFest event, and we had to change it around significantly this year. Historically, it was held at Runlet Middle School, and we had probably 800 people in attendance. And so with COVID-19, we have moved the event to outside. This year will take place on March 20th at White Park. We have this year we have 8 of our local eateries that are making a soup. So 8 soups are available for purchase. And I'd like to run down some of these because the menu is just awesome. The Barley House, pumpkin apple bisque. Cole's Kitchen has a miso noodle soup. The Common Man has clam chowder. Concord Food Co-op, Hungarian mushroom ale. George's Northside has a smoked brisket chili. Hermano's, a vegetarian chili. The Works, a lentil soup. And Steak and Seafood, roasted red pepper and butternut squash. And what we're asking for everyone to do this year is to go online at the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness website, and you can pre-order and pick a time to pick up the soups. So to stagger, so we basically have control over the individuals showing up and what time. You go on, you pick your soups, you pick your arrival time, and it's anticipated that it's going to sell out this year. We aren't able to offer, we don't have the commercial kitchen at our disposal as we had in the past. So it is anticipated that we will sell out. So historically, individuals have been able to come day of and get their soup. This year, I think you'll be disappointed if you show up and are hoping to still purchase soup. So go online, concordhomeless.org, pick up your soups. It's going to be a great event. The menu just looks awesome.
And for Ellen, talk a little bit how this benefits the coalition and what it has meant to see the type of support that's received from individuals in the community, but also entities like the Concord Food Co-op, like Northeast Delta Dental, that there's such an emphasis and a focus on supporting and helping those individuals that need it in the community.
Absolutely. This is our major fundraising event of the year. And so we're so grateful to the people who have supported us year after year. And Northeast Delta Dental is one of those major sponsors, which we're so appreciative of, excuse me, as well as all the people who come out to support us. It's what keeps our doors open. And this year, of course, like everyone else, we've had to deal with COVID and trying to make adjustments to serve this very vulnerable population during a really hard time. But we've managed. We've actually been able to take advantage of some special federal funding that came through just to help with COVID, and we were able to purchase a building. We were able to purchase the first church building in Concord, and we're using that for a bigger space to serve people during the pandemic. And when the pandemic is over, our plan is to turn that into housing, which is, of course, the real way to end homelessness is with housing. So we're fortunate to be able to make a little bit of lemonade from the lemons of COVID. But all this support, this fundraiser, and all the support received is what really keeps us going and allows us to do our work.
Just one more question for me, and then I'll hand it back over to Greg. And you referenced it there, some of the challenges that have been in this COVID environment. What have we seen in terms of the increase of individuals who are homeless in the COVID environment? Has there been an increase? Has there been a tangible effect that individuals who are, living in the margins from a financial perspective had faced because of COVID?
Well, I think we have been fortunate as a state and as a country with these eviction moratoriums. I know that they've had an impact on landlords, so they're not the solution. That landlords need to have their income as well, but that has held off some people becoming homeless due to their loss of their job. So that's been a real gift, I think. I will say we have seen an increase in the stress levels and mental health. Substance use has increased. That people are under a lot of strain. Their lives, everybody's life has been upended, but people struggling with homelessness, I would say, have been very, very severely affected by this. Just the places you might normally go every day are not there. The rest of us can be bored in our homes, but we have a home to be bored in. So, so it's really had an effect on people's state of mind, I think.
Greg?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit, just briefly, about the Coalition's Pillar of Support program. Last year, we launched the Pillar of Support program, and we asked local businesses as a way to support us, to support as sponsorship of two of our three events, annually support two of our three events. The two other events we have is the talent show May 1st and the Bluegrass Barbecue that we hold in July. And we also asked that the businesses lend their voice in support of ending homelessness in the greater Concord area. And we reached out to, as the first business that we reached out to was Northeast Delta Dental, and to explain the program. And they jumped right on board and enthusiastically said, yes, we would like to be your first pillar of support. And that was last year. And when we asked Northeast Delta Dental again this year, they stepped in a big way. They are gold sponsors on both on the SouperFest event as well as the Bluegrass Barbecue. So that's a really big thing. And I just, Tom, just to hear from you, why is it that Northeast Delta Dental is such a supporter of the mission of the Concord Coalition to end homelessness? You folks do so much in the greater community, but this is one that you've stepped up big time for.
Sure. Well, first of all, you can, Chris, you can never say no to Greg and Ellen. Number one, it starts there. And they broke a long-standing record from John Broderick. When John asked me for the Change Direction Mental Health Awareness Program, in 32 seconds, he got a significant sum of money, and Ellen got it in 30 seconds. So Ellen now has the record, and it's really, we obviously want to be great to the community. We're in the fabric of the community. But if you look at this thing holistically, and Greg really mentioned it, as did Ellen, food insecurity, homelessness, mental health, substance abuse, oral health, all of that is connected, and we have to find a holistic solution. So as Ellen said, people with homes can worry about, they've run out of Netflix shows to watch. But if you're homeless, there's much greater issues. So it's exacerbated an existing problem, but holistically, we look at everything together. And to me, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, if someone doesn't have a home and shelter, all of these other things leading up to self-actualization and oral health can't happen. So it was clear to me when Ellen proposed this, with Greg, it was an obvious yes for us. We also understand the importance that an organization can count on a lead sponsor year after year, so they don't have to worry about fundraising. They can spend their time on strategically impacting the problem as opposed to having to worry about fundraising all the time. So we want to be that lead partner that Ellen and Greg can count on every year, and that's why we did it. And again, our biggest tagline, it's even more so now during COVID, everybody, not just people with traditional dental insurance and homes, everybody deserves a healthy smile. And if you don't have a home, you're not going to have that. So it's a natural for us to support it, and we want to continue to support it. And that includes providing toothbrushes and other oral health care products that we've done routinely for years. So it's obvious. And I thank Chris for you to calling this to the community's attention, and of course for Ellen and Greg's passion for this. And the other really cool thing is, while we certainly have a problem, we can get our hands, we have the actual numbers. I mean, this is not so daunting and overwhelming that people throw up their hands. We can actually solve this, which is awesome.
Yeah. When the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness first began, like you thought about that title, like the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness, not to reduce, not to minimize, but to end it. And like, well, that's a calling your shot type of a name right there. Like, is that something that is possible? And there's certain things that we can never quote unquote end, but to me, homelessness is something that you can end. Is it going to be daunting and challenging? No question. But it is something that you can, in fact, end. And I think you make a really good point, Tom, about having that foundation of support, because so many small nonprofit entities have to spend a tremendous amount of their time. The executive director has to spend a tremendous amount of their time finding the money in order to do what they want to do. And then, doing what they want to do kind of becomes almost an afterthought, because in order to do anything, you have to be able to fundraise. So,
exactly. No money, no mission is what we say. And I'd rather have Ellen and Greg solving the problem than having to get the burnout of, fundraising. So Ellen knows this, we'll always be a partner, even though one of our conversations was, this is a community where actually they can work themselves out of a job, which I know Ellen would be delighted. Because oftentimes in a lot of these health and human services issues, it's a journey without a finish line. But this one can actually have a finish line with great people like Ellen and Greg and corporate sponsors, not just Delta Dental, but others.
Yeah, and that mission can obviously change to keeping people in their homes, providing the necessary services and ability to help that vulnerable population, but making sure they do so in a more stable environment, Ellen.
Correct. Absolutely.
And I wanted to touch on a point that you're both making, and that it is solvable, and it is solvable. However, we need a lot more help, and so what the coalition has recently done is forming an action task force, and some individuals from the community that are involved in housing are coming together to say there's many paths to a solution, but what paths make the most sense. And so we're about to launch this group that is going to take a real hard look at this and try to really problem solve for the solution and try to have goals and objectives by X date. So we are vigorously going after a solution, and at every turn, every individual that we ask to help and to partner with, they're on board. And so that's just been such a great thing, because the coalition cannot do it alone. And again, everyone that we ask, so you'll be hearing some I think big things from this group in the near term.
And Chris, that's from the day one. That's why I always loved when Ellen and I would have these conversations, because she understands, as says Greg, you need this cross-functional approach because it is a holistic problem. It's food insecurity, it's substance abuse, and having this cross-functional group, we will get to that end goal. But there's obviously challenges ahead and more work to do, but we'll get there. And you should know, that this is being done strategically, which is why, again, we want to be a lead partner, because I'd rather have these strategies, Ellen and Greg spending time on that, as opposed to having to worry about fundraising.
What are some of the things that you're looking to achieve? What are the things that specifically? We have kind of some background noise here. I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, I'll try to edit that part out. What are some of the main strategic goals of the organization outside of what we talked about earlier? That's putting people and getting individuals in homes, kind of setting the deadlines for that to take place. What are some of the main strategic goals that you're looking to advance here over the short term?
Yeah, I think there's a couple avenues we're pursuing at the same time. Like Greg was talking about bringing these housing developers together. We're not going to build our way out of this alone, but it is clear that we need more affordable housing, and we need more housing that people are willing to rent to someone who has a history of homelessness. That's a stigma that a lot of people have a hard time getting past. A lot of landlords don't want to take a risk on someone who doesn't have a pristine rental history. So we need more affordable housing. So that's building, that has to happen. And that's something that we can't accomplish overnight, especially our agency. That's not really our strength. We built our little Green Street apartments, and that was a great learning experience to say, wow, we need more help in building. So that's one avenue, is just bringing, as Greg was saying, figuring out what is the most efficient way. And it's probably not one way, it's probably many ways to bring the needed units on the ground. And at the same time, we're looking at, let's really understand the population that we're talking about, know specifically who, a by name list we've talked about, where we don't just know everybody's name, we know what are the barriers that this particular person is facing, and having case conferencing with all of the service providers that might be able to help that person overcome that barrier. So both of these efforts are going on simultaneously.
Current success, if you will, in the housing and apartment market affect homelessness, where we're seeing very high rental prices, we're seeing very high sale prices of homes, and when you have a limited stock and availability of housing, how has that affected what you're trying to do in finding individuals who will build affordable housing when it appears that you could have success, at least in the short term, building unaffordable housing, and that may be something that makes a lot more sense from a business perspective?
It's challenging. I will say COVID's shifting things. People are buying houses like crazy right now. It's very hard to build affordable housing. It's expensive to build any kind of housing, and if you're trying to build energy efficient housing, it's just material prices are way up. So you really do need subsidy money to make it affordable, to be able to have it be affordable. So yes, finding available property to build on is a huge challenge, and getting the subsidy money is a huge challenge as well. So yeah, it's a challenging landscape right now. Although I will say perhaps an outcome of COVID is that some of these different businesses are going to say, we're going to stick with our at-home office. We don't need our office building anymore. Yeah. So maybe there'll be an opportunity to transform some, buildings that weren't residential in the past, turn them into residential.
We've talked about that, and I want to conclude there, and Greg talking a little more about SouperFest as we wrap up. But there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, it would appear, in commercial housing, properties that are no longer going to be vital and needed, and that there would appear to be opportunities for on the government side to incentivize that commercial space to be renovated in order to address our housing issues. And that to me would seem to be, as you're describing, a tremendous opportunity, both for the person that owns the commercial real estate entity and for solving this problem.
Absolutely.
I think that's the general point, that if you make an investment in the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness, you can actually it can actually comport with your own mission, whether it's real estate or whether it's oral health, reducing visits to emergency rooms and so forth. So I urge people to get behind the work group, get behind Ellen and Greg, because this will actually solve and be consistent with a lot of missions that are out there.
And Greg, in conclusion on SouperFest, how individuals can get involved, and as you mentioned, this is something that is going to sell out. So let's do it in a timely fashion.
Yes. Again, visit concordhomeless.org. All the information about SouperFest is there, and there's where you can place your order for your soups and pick the time to show up. So it's the date again is March 20th, White Park. So I'm believing it's going to be a beautiful day. So you can bring a little camp chair and sit in the park and enjoy your soup.
And the food sounds great. So
projecting is believing. So
I like that.
Fruition.
Tom Rathio, Ellen Groh, Greg Lessard, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chris.
Greg, Ellen, what you do. Thanks, Chris, for communicating all this.
All right, this is New Hampshire Today. I'm Chris Ryan.
Thank you all.
Thanks.